Minecraft portal. But is it a national proxy? Chapter 61. Did it work? In the distance, Yun Junhua and the others watched that green figure mutating wildly, their voices trembling. In mere tens of seconds, the zombie's body had shot up to a staggering 7 meters. Its once square head grew even more hideous and terrifying, with sharp fangs jutting from its mouth. Quick, the energy crystals. Yun Junhua suddenly thought of something and roared again. Send over every crystal we just extracted. A bold hypothesis was surging through his mind. If these mutated zombies could produce energy crystals, then the rage gene and the special energy inside the crystals had to share an inseparable, mutually reinforcing link. Yes, sir. A logistics enderman instantly took a box holding over 100 milky white energy crystals from a safe. With a flash, it teleported in front of the mutating super zombie and handed over the entire box. The super zombie seemed to catch the alluring scent of energy emanating from the crystals. Lowering its head, it glanced at the box with crimson eyes. Without hesitation, it gulped down all 100+ crystals in one go. How do you feel? Yun Junhua asked urgently over the comms. Any discomfort? Reporting to old Yun. The Washa soldiers piloting that monstrous body sounded stunned and incredulous. No discomfort at all, only endless, inexhaustible strength. As the 100 crystals fully dissolved inside him, a purer, wilder aura than any Tier 3 zombie had ever exuded erupted skyward. This aura, it's identical to a Tier 3 zombie. A researcher cried out. Under that vast energy, the super zombie's mutation entered its final phase. When the dust settled, a 15-meter titan stood before them, skin like green armor. Muscles coiled like mountain ranges, a monster of terror. Quick, test your new abilities. Yun Junhua's voice brimmed with excitement. Roger. The soldier controlling the super zombie focused his thoughts. Boom. The colossal body shot forward at a speed its size should never possess. The earth quaked beneath its feet. With a simple downward punch. Thud. A heaven-shaking roar exploded. Around the impact, the hard ground shattered instantly. Bottomless cracks spread like ravenous pythons in every direction. Incredible, too strong. Yun Junhua stared at the apocalyptic devastation. His whole being burned with scientific fervor. And this is only after fusing third-rank strength zombie genes. His eyes blazed. If we capture fourth, fifth, even stronger mutants and inject all their rage genes into this body, we could craft an unstoppable juggernaut capable of flattening the entire zombie world. Watching the super zombie adapt, Yun Junhua's fever cooled into deeper contemplation. We must reverse engineer and mass produce this rage gene. He scribbled frantically in his lab notebook. And those energy crystals, snatching ordinary zombies for extraction is far too slow. 100-to-1 ratio against endless hordes is a drop in the ocean. Zombies are finite, what then? We must crack the crystal's molecular structure and achieve industrial synthesis, only then can our super legions multiply without end. 3 hours later, a heavy rocket lifted off, placing China's first military recon satellite into low orbit above the zombie world. Though its signal might be captured by the 3 other tech-savvy survivor bases and expose China's presence, Yi Tian and Zhang Zhongguo no longer cared. From the moment the super zombie experiment succeeded, China's strategy shifted from stealth to absolute dominance. If truly unreasonable powerhouses or tide-level hordes appeared, China still had its final card, mushroom planting. They could simply nuke the world flat. After all, for MC Bio, radiation hurts less than a skeleton's arrow. On this empty wasteland, a world without living humans is still a kind of unification. With nationwide reinforcements in place, the Sonic Center's perimeter was now an iron barrel, not even a fly could slip through. On the ground stretched endless obsidian walls, tens of thousands of heavy gun emplacements, and nuclear-powered tank battalions ready to roll. Atop the walls sat shulker boxes holding special bottles filled with mysterious liquids. In the sky, tens of thousands of massive evil spirits were arrayed in a precise formation. Their flat heads linked into floating combat platforms high above the ground. Not just for fire support, but also to give flightless iron golems a temporary aerial foothold during joint operations. Time ticked by. With the satellite's sky eye, Yi Tian sat in the command center watching red torrents converge from every direction, his face stern. Suddenly the distant drumming of running feet grew clearer. Here they come. On the horizon, amid clouds of dust, a grotesque mutated zombie galloped on all fours, its limbs long and slender, its face twisted, speed shocking as it outpaced the tide far behind. Behind it stretched an endless sea of ordinary zombies interspersed with building-sized giants, while overhead dark clouds of winged flying zombies shrieked. Attention! First wave incoming. Yi Tian locked onto the mutated zombie charging at the front, a glint flashing in his eyes. Decent speed on that one, perfect for a warm-up. He barked the order into the comm channel. Frontline, dispatch one Iron Shadow squad to test current synergy. Everyone else holds fire. After the horde is split by the trench, commence saturation bombardment. Roger. Outside the obsidian wall, the nimble-type mutated zombie leading the charge had already reached the 100-meter chasm China had carved ahead. Faced with this natural moat, it roared, coiled its hind legs, and vaulted skyward, tracing a parabolic arc dozens of meters long in an attempt to clear the gap outright. Just as it hung mid-air, old momentum spent, new not yet born. Execute. The command dropped in an instant. On the wall, an Enderman warrior who had long been poised shot out his long arm and wrapped it around the iron golem that had been waiting beside him. Violet light exploded. Whoosh. In the next second, one black, one iron, vanished into thin air. When they reappeared, they had crossed dozens of kilometers, teleporting directly in front of the leaping mutated zombie still airborne. No wasted words. Using the momentum of the teleport, the iron golem cradled in those arms raised its colossal steel fist and delivered a plain, bone-crushing punch at the zombie's hideous skull. The mutated zombie reacted with lightning speed. Mid-air it twisted its spine at a grotesque angle, barely, just barely, dodging the fatal blow. Dodged. The warrior controlling the Enderman curled a cold smile. Move. Whoosh. One miss, no lingering. The instant the zombie's claws slashed, the Enderman vanished again with the iron golem. The zombie's claws met only air, it had just landed and hadn't regained balance when. Suddenly, a suffocating pressure descended from directly above. Terrified, it looked up. The steel titan had been teleported by that black wraith 10 meters above its head. 31 tons of mass plus gravitational acceleration. Roar. Soul nearly leaving its body, the mutated zombie hurled itself sideways in a frantic roll. Boom. The iron golem slammed where it had stood, the hard ground detonating into a hail of stone shrapnel and a crater meters wide. Though not a direct hit, the shockwave still hurled the zombie tumbling for a dozen meters, dazed and bloodied. Before it could rise. Whoosh. Violet light flashed a third time. The Enderman reappeared beside it with the iron golem. This time, luck ran out. Die for me. With a roar the iron golem drove its mountain-splitting fist, wind howling, straight into the half-risen zombie. Cornered, the zombie shrieked and raised both arms to block. Crack. A crisp fracture, a wet thud of flesh bursting. Its hardened arms snapped like dry twigs, exploding into a mist of blood and bone shards. The unstoppable force smashed into its chest, blasting the zombie away. Hell yeah. This combo is broken level. This blink and you miss it, ignore distance, ignore defense, hit anywhere tactic felt better than anything the pilot had ever experienced. The agility-type mutated zombie, half its body shattered, was still airborne when two violet spatial ripples flickered behind it. Two clean-up shadow blade warriors materialized without expression, four long arms clamping the dying mutant in an iron grip. Without hesitation the violet light flashed again. They vanished from the battlefield, zombie in tow. Straight to the dissection tables where the biologists had been waiting, ravenous for samples. To China, this was no longer an enemy, just priceless rage gene material. Meanwhile, on the distant horizon, the Earth's original brown had been swallowed by a boundless, scalp-numbing black tide. Endless hordes, answering Sonic Wave's call, slammed toward China's defense line with world-erasing momentum. Amid that tsunami of common undead, countless terrifying special mutants jutted out like reefs in an ocean. Some elephantine, others loping on all fours like leopards, each displaying its own powers as they howled into the charge. The bottomless chasm wall blocked the common zombies but not these evolved monsters. Some vaulted over with horrific leaps, others clung to the rock face, sprinting to cross the abyss. As for the millions of ordinary zombies, bereft of reason, driven only by instinct toward the sonic wave source, Pressed from behind by the endless tide, the front ranks couldn't help themselves and plunged like dumplings into the fathomless pit. Arg! Shrieks echoed in the abyss. Yet what awaited them wasn't a pulverizing death. At the bottom of the chasm, thousands of Endermen had long been waiting. The moment a zombie fell, they precisely caught it an instant before impact, then teleported away. Packed off into the obsidian cages at the rear, raw material for processing. The whole dance flowed like water. Not a single zombie was wasted, every one becoming fuel for the energy extractors. Inside the command center, Yi Tian watched the screen, the corner of his mouth lifting. How's this any different from a mob spawner tower? He murmured. Only swap the kill mechanism for a recycling unit, that's all. As long as the sonic wave keeps blaring, this place is an inexhaustible resource mine. But for the mutated zombies that crossed the pit and tried to breach the line, what waited was true hell on earth. Open fire. At the order, the steel torrent, primed and ready, roared to the heavens. Boom, boom, boom. At that moment the earth quaked and the sky burned. Thousands of nuclear-powered tanks, thousands of long-range rocket launchers, and the dense artillery batteries behind them all spat tongues of apocalyptic flame at once. The watchword is simple: blanket firepower. What's that about tactical infiltration? Precision sniping, you say? Not needed. Within this range lies the domain of truth. Countless heavy-caliber shells, high-explosive grenades, even incendiary specials rained like a storm onto the horde across the deep pit in an indiscriminate, carpet-style saturation strike. Explosions merged into a wall of flame dozens of meters high. Mutated zombies that had just left the pit, still clawing through the air, were slammed by several, or dozens, of shells before they could touch ground. Boom! The kinetic fury and searing heat shredded them mid-air. They became a crimson rain of mince and gore. No intact bone survived. As for the ultra-tough Tier-3 mutants trying to tank the barrage, China showed them extra courtesy. With satellites overhead and strategic deterrents in place, Yi Tian and Zhang Zhongguo held nothing back. Missile units, fire at will. Whoosh! Tactical missiles no longer launched in stingy pairs but in volleys of dozens, even hundreds, roaring from their carriers. Howling, they homed in on clusters of high-tier zombies. Boom! 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 Giant mushrooms of smoke and flame blossomed across the battlefield. Some mutants hadn't even cleared the pit before they tasted the apocalyptic overpressure of dozens of blasts. Against that planet-shredding shockwave, the Tier 3's proud armor proved paper-thin. Skin and bone vaporized in the inferno. It was a massacre of total disparity. Industrial civilization's dimensional smash on biological mutation. Above, the sky battle proved equally brutal and spectacular. Scree! Thousands of flying mutated zombies, a sun-blotting swarm, dived at the line, hoping to breach from above. What greeted them was an even bleaker storm of fire. 10,000 odd automated, radar-locked CIWS and countless machine gun nests opened up the instant lock-on was achieved. BZZZT. Crimson tracer chains wove an airtight web of death, shredding the very sky. Tens of thousands of rounds per minute turned those CIWS into abattoirs. Any flying zombie brushing the web, even a graze, was punctured into a sieve in a heartbeat. Some simply burst into clouds of blood mid-air. Corpses rained down, only to be repulverized by the curtain of shells, reduced to even tinier scraps. The heavens delivered a foul crimson shower. The battlefield shook to the roar of cannons, the thunder of missiles, the ripping of rotary guns. Before this steel torrent capable of flattening everything, the so-called tide of corpses, the vaunted evolution, looked pale and impotent. This was China's live demonstration of curing insufficient firepower phobia. On the front, the barrage still rolled without end. Behind the abyssal wall, China's fire net had woven an impassable no-man's land. Yet beyond the boundless tide, packs of terrifying, varied Tier-3 mutants halted. Bloodthirsty though they were, the molten steel heat and blast waves woke something primal. Survival instinct rooted them in place. They prowled and fidgeted outside the curtain of ruin, their charge stalled cold. Right then, whoom! A mysterious sonic wave from the city center swept past without warning. Roar! The hesitating Tier 3s stiffened, eyes flooding with struggle and agony. On one side, the wave's gene-deep summons, on the other, the sky-filling missiles promising death. The two wills tore through them, contorting every movement. Yet the hunger to evolve overrode dread. Howling, they lurched onward through the artillery curtain. Instinct putting up a fight. Inside the command center, Yi Tian watched the greedy yet cringing high tiers flash a gleam of insight. Since these tier 3s fear death, stop the missiles. He issued the order at once. Blast them to ash, and where will I get crystals and body parts? Clear out the sub-tier 2 trash, send shadow blades and iron shadow units to net the tier 3s alive, or at least bring back whole corpses. Yes, sir. The missile carriers quit their barrage the instant the command landed. Evil spirits, advance. In the sky, tens of thousands of bulky white evil spirits drifted forward like floating clouds. Custom saddles had been fixed onto their broad, flat heads. And on many, fully automated AW cannons bristled with tech. Before the evil spirits even met the foe, the AW cannons thundered. A sweep of shells cleared the airspace, shredding low-tier flyers and carving a clean stage for the iron golems. At that moment a tier 3 aerial mutant, 5-meter wingspan, bone-spiked, shrieked, slipped the AA fire, and stooped at a lone evil spirit at terrifying speed. Its talons glinted, aiming to rip the huge white balloon apart. Yet, heartbeats before impact. Violet light exploded atop the evil spirit. An Enderman, hugging a heavy iron golem, blinked into existence. No longer an attacker, the evil spirit had become the perfect aerial platform. The warrior within the iron golem roared. The moment he materialized, that colossal iron fist cannon balled straight at the diving zombie. The tier 3 twisted midair, barely dodging the skull-shattering punch. Missed. Trying to flee. You won't be coming back. The iron fist warrior sneered. The Enderman holding him sprang off the soft yet springy evil spirit crown. Boost serum had pushed the Enderman far beyond raw strength. Hauling an iron golem through a midair leap was child's play. Using the recoil, the pair shot after the just evading zombie. The Enderman's legs launched from the evil spirit's soft, elastic crown, sending both warriors streaking toward their prey. Seeing the distance was still too great, the zombie was about to swipe back. Purple light flashed again. The Enderman, hugging the iron golem, actually triggered a second midair teleport. This time they didn't appear beside the zombie, instead they rematerialized hundreds of meters away, directly above an evil spirit that had already adjusted its position. A new foothold regained. Momentum recharged. Then another slingshot launch. The sky full of evil spirits now looked like a three-dimensional aerial hopscotch board. And the Enderman and iron golems were the pieces that jumped around at will, appearing and disappearing without pattern. Go, kill it. As the order came through the command channel, more Endermen below, each cradling an iron golem, received the signal. Whoosh! Purple flashes began to strobe wildly across the sky. Hundreds of Iron Shadow teams used the airborne evil spirits as stepping stones, pulling Violet after images through the air and instantly surrounding the Tier 3 flying zombie. 1 second it dodged the iron fist in front. The next, spatial ripples flickered behind it and another iron golem teleported to its back, smashing down hard. Left, right, above, below. Purple light everywhere, steel fists everywhere. The Tier 3 zombie couldn't even catch an enemy's shadow before the opponents, who had turned teleportation and aerial leverage into an art, crippled both its wings in midair and blasted it toward the ground. Waiting below the falling zombie was an Enderman spreading its arms. This was the first Tier 3 flying zombie. Its genes were extremely valuable research material for MC creatures. Holy crap. That was awesome. At that moment, tens of thousands of newly enlisted Washa soldiers who had just linked into zombie world and possessed evil spirits watched through first-person view. What happened right above and beside them left them dumbstruck. They had received emergency training and knew they were to serve as aerial platforms and fire support carriers. But never in their wildest dreams had they imagined a battle could be fought like this. Was this the perfect fusion of technology and mutation? Was this the legendary special tactics coordination? Watching their comrades control Endermen and iron golems, skimming a kilometer above ground as if it were solid earth, using their own bodies as pivot points for all kinds of incredible teleport kills and slaughtering once invincible Tier 3 monsters like circus monkeys. An unprecedented excitement and yearning ignited wildly in these recruits' hearts. Too strong. And way too cool. Once I'm good enough, I'm gonna apply to pilot a Gundam. This is a man's romance, floating around like a balloon is lame. A soldier controlling an evil spirit, having just watched someone step off his head and teleport away, shouted from the bottom of his heart. Yet the aerial hunt had only just begun. As the evil spirit platforms kept advancing, the violet and steel net spread outward from this point, heading toward the entire Tier 3 zombie horde. Above the clouds, after the last batch of flying zombies trying to block them was shredded by anti-air fire, the massive evil spirit fleet finally floated unhindered directly over the ground-based Tier 3 zombies. A colossal shadow fell. Coordinates confirmed, altitude confirmed. At the command channel's order, countless purple lights began flashing frantically across the broad, flat heads of the evil spirits. Thousands of Shadow Blade warriors, each hugging a heavy steel titan, teleported in. This time they weren't simply letting go as they had back at Fenwa base. After injections of enhancement serum had quintupled their strength, these Enderman warriors glanced at the dense zombie crowd below, a savage glint in their eyes. Go down. With a unified roar, the Endermen on the evil spirits' heads bent their knees, every muscle tightening to the limit before exploding upward. Instead of releasing their grip, they hurled the 31-ton iron golems like shot puts, using all their might to slam them toward the ground. Boom! The air was torn apart. Already terrifying under gravity alone, the iron golems, now given this monstrous initial thrust, broke the sound barrier in their descent. Over 1,000 steel bodies, trailing ear-splitting sonic booms, turned into a true, apocalyptic meteor shower of steel. At that instant the ground-level atmosphere seemed compressed to its limit by the fearsome might. The Tier 3 zombies still hesitating below looked up in horror. They no longer saw sky, only a rapidly enlarging, friction-reddened steel canopy. Rumble. The earth let out a pained groan. The moment the first iron golem touched down it was like a bunker buster detonating. A gigantic shock wave of rock and soil rolled up a dirt surge dozens of meters high. Ordinary zombies at ground zero didn't even have time to scream. They were ground into meat paste by the indescribable force and fused into the scorched earth. Yet the ordinary zombies lucky enough to survive ignored the steel gods that had dropped from the sky. Their cloudy eyes focused only on the source of the sonic wave. Even as their kin were splattered across them, they detoured around the iron golems and kept sprinting toward the deep pit, where Endermen below reclaimed them. But for the intelligent Tier 3 mutants, this was utter catastrophe. Roar. A massive strength-type Tier 3 zombie, seeing the black shadow plummeting straight at it, flashed a hint of despair. It roared and tried to dodge sideways, but the steel rain was too fast, too dense. As soon as one iron golem was thrown the next filled the gap. It had barely stepped aside when the accelerated iron golem crashed down. Thud. A dull impact. No suspense whatsoever. The indestructible feet of the iron golem stamped squarely onto the zombie's spine. The terrifying kinetic energy erupted, nailing the once defense-defying mutant into the hard ground like a spike. The earth cracked, half the Tier 3 zombie's body was instantly pulped, pinned and motionless, black viscera spraying from its mouth. Before it could struggle, the iron golem straightened in the crater, red light flashing in its eyes as a huge steel palm, laden with killing intent, swiped straight at the zombie's still roaring head. Squelch. Like crushing a watermelon. The Tier 3 zombie's skull burst in an instant. The iron golem's blood-soaked hand plunged into the gore and, with surgical precision, grabbed. A white energy crystal, one size larger than normal and blazing with light, was pinched between its fingers. Without even glancing, the iron golem tossed the crystal behind it. Whoosh! A streak of purple light flashed at the perfect moment. A logistics Enderman materialized out of thin air. It caught the crystal cleanly, then scooped up the mangled yet still priceless Tier 3 corpse. Another flash of violet. Corpse and crystal vanished without a trace, teleported straight to the rear resource depot. From the sky-splitting kill to crystal retrieval to full salvage, the entire flow wasted not a single second. It was a flawless exhibition of violence elevated to art, resource plunder at its apex. On the front line, the Washaw Army's assembly line farming had already made the battle feel routine. Yet just hours into the encirclement, when everyone assumed the grind would stay dull. Boom. Without warning, an energy wave 10 times more terrifying than anything before swept in from the distance. The earth quaked. At the horizon's edge, a colossal shadow rose, so huge it stole one's breath. A titan over 30 meters tall. Every step it took triggered a mini quake. Its body sheathed in ink-black bone armor, its aura felt almost solid. Beep. 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 Critical alert. Ultra-high energy life form detected. Energy class, Tier 4. Inside the command center, shrill alarms filled every corner. Red warning windows blanketed every screen. Yi Tian and Zhang Zhongguo stared at the walking titan on the monitor, both faces darkened, brows locked. Tier 4. Zhang Zhongguo's voice turned grave. That size, that pressure, it dwarfs the Tier 3 peak tyrant we wore down earlier by more than a notch. They had burned plenty of tricks to grind the tyrant to death. Against this skyscraper-level Tier 4, conventional tactics were already useless. But the next second, Yi Tian's eyes blazed with unprecedented greed. So what if it's Tier 4? He glared at the screen, voice icy. Its gene is priceless. If we kill it and extract the Tier 4 rage gene, once we mass produce it we'll have an army of Tier 4 zombies. Throw everything we've got, pile it till it dies. Yi Tian swept his arm. All halted missile units on the front, lock onto that Tier 4 zombie. Fire, cost is no object. Yes, sir. With the order, the silent launch vehicles roared back to life. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A sky full of tactical missiles trailed long flames and rained down on the Tier 4 zombie. Yet this time the result sent every heart plummeting. Boom boom boom. Blinding explosions swallowed the Titan. When the smoke cleared, the Tier 4 zombie still stood. Its black bone shell hadn't even cracked under bunker-busting blasts. With a casual swipe it batted several incoming missiles out of the air, detonating them mid-flight. That defense, it's despair-inducing. Inside the command center someone hissed in shock. Spirits sank. Conventional firepower couldn't handle this foe. Looks like we'll have to count on it. Yi Tian drew a deep breath and opened a channel to the Biological Research Institute. Old Yun, how's that zombie doing? Over the comm came academician Yun Junhua's ecstatic voice, backed by the roar of machines. Almost ready. We just finished extracting rage genes from several speed-type and flyer-type Tier 3 zombies captured up front. Final fusion calibration in progress. Good. Yi Tian nodded. Until then we'll keep it busy with tech weapons. Your side, spare no cost. Push that thing to its absolute peak. Biological Research Institute, Core Lab. The 15-meter-tall super zombie stood motionless inside the giant enhancement tank. Its massive frame nearly brushed the lab ceiling. Green muscles pulsed with terrifying power. Around it, countless purple shulker boxes lay open in towering heaps. Hurry, pour it all in. Yun Junhua looked less like a rigorous scientist and more like a fanatical alchemist. Enderman operators pulled multicolored MC potions from the shulker boxes. Swiftness, strength, healing. Even in the Minecraft world these buff potions were priceless. Now they gushed like tap water, bottle after bottle, straight into the super zombie's maw. Glug glug. As the potions flooded in, the zombie's body erupted in a riot of colored particles, buff duration stacking frantically. Meanwhile crate after crate of energy crystals, fresh from the energy extractors, were dumped before it. The super zombie devoured handfuls of crystals like roasted beans, crunching them to dust. Crunch crunch. The energy signature inside its body skyrocketed. Still not enough. More. Yun Junhua roared. Bring every vat of freshly made enhancement liquid, use it all. Originally this precious liquid had been reserved for the Endermen. With their teleport mechanics, a stat boost would make them nearly unstoppable. But earlier tests showed the Enderman's gene structure too unique, incompatible with the zombie virus-derived rage gene. Forced fusion meant total collapse. Only a zombie of the same origin could perfectly carry this berserker power. Enderman evolution would have to wait. For now, this zombie was their sole hope. Several huge barrels of red enhancement liquid were pumped straight into the super zombie via pipes. Roar. Under the combined catalyst of MC potions, energy crystals, rage gene mutations and body enhancement tech. The super zombie's aura finally breached the critical point. Its frame grew taller again, metallic scales began threading across its skin. A visible trait of the multi-gene fusion. Watching the monster's horrific aura, Yun Junhua and every researcher nearby flushed with near-religious fervor. Innate talent lacking. No matter. Yun Junhua gazed at his howling masterpiece and murmured. Then, let mutation make up the difference. The sharpest bio weapon. Inside the bio lab, Yun Junhua watched the hulking zombie in front of him chug buff potions as if they were water. Beside it sat an oddly shaped shulker box. The moment the lid opened, blinding golden light flooded the entire lab. Inside were countless palm-sized, golden figurines etched with mysterious patterns, Minecraft's divine item, the totems of undying. After all, it was about to clash head-on with a terrifying Tier 4 zombie. Yi Tian naturally wanted every safeguard maxed out. With these totems, even if the Tier 4 zombie could one-shot, a totem would block the fatal blow and grant powerful regeneration. It was like giving this super creature endless lives, grinding the enemy down by sheer attrition. Watching the zombie absorb the potions until its body peaked, Yun Junhua waved and shouted. Hold up, stop chugging. Final step. Let's add these genes. With that, several syringes, long since refined and glowing with danger, were slowly pushed into the zombie by mechanical arms. They contained speed type and flight type rage genes harvested from Tier 3 zombies on the battlefield. SS's. As the gene fluid entered, the mountain solid zombie convulsed, muscles seemingly detonating inside. Roar. With a tearing howl, the muscles on its back bulged and split. Schluck. A pair of colossal green wings, dripping blood, burst out of its body. Spanning over 15 meters, the wing membranes were laced with savage, razor-sharp bone spikes that glinted coldly. At the same time, its originally bloated, hill-like muscle blocks shrank, tightening. Yet this wasn't a loss of strength, it was the distillation of essence. The once bulky frame became long and streamlined, every fiber like high-tensile steel cables coiled for power. An even more terrifying, suffocating aura erupted from its body. Roar. A long howl rolled out, shaking the heavens. In the command center, Yi Tian watched the screen, this reborn ultimate weapon, eyes glinting sharply. He glanced at Zhang Zhongguo beside him, the man barely able to contain his excitement, and smiled faintly. Uncle Zhang, want to pilot this body yourself? Zhang Zhongguo froze, pointing at himself. Me. Yi Tian nodded solemnly. Yes, this is the strongest combat power we've built with so many resources. Yi Tian paused and grinned. I know you drop by the Link Center to pilot creatures for fun, you love charging into battle. But for the bigger picture you're stuck here with me. Now that we've got something this strong, only your experience can draw out its full might. Called out, Zhang Zhongguo flushed slightly, yet battle fire blazed in his eyes. He pondered a second, then nodded firmly, voice ringing. Fine, let me test that beast. Without delay he turned and headed straight for the nearest Soul Link Center. With Yi Tian's help, Zhang Zhongguo's consciousness crossed dimensions and crashed into the super zombie's body. The instant he took control, an indescribable, world-shattering power flooded every thought. Zhang Zhongguo flexed the massive claws, feeling the oceanic energy racing inside. He almost believed that with one punch he could blow apart a mountain before him. This is absolute power. At will, he flapped the wings on his back. Whoosh! Gale force winds toppled lab equipment. His huge frame lifted off the ground, frighteningly fast. Realizing the ceiling loomed, he hovered midair, tamping down the urge to shoot skyward. Yi Tian's voice crackled from the screen, expectant. Uncle Zhang, grab the totems and launch. Let's see whether our Washat tech mutation beats the Tier 4 zombies' evolution. Hovering, Zhang Zhongguo nodded, crimson eyes burning. He swept a giant hand at the prepared supply pile. Dozens of purple shulker boxes stuffed with totems vanished instantly. Boom. With a dull sonic boom, a dark green after image shot through the lab's alloy gate. Out in the broad base yard, he tasted gunpowder-tinged air and willed his body. Rustle. Flesh stretched audibly. The folded, hideous wings snapped fully open to either side. Spanning more than 30 meters. A vast shadow blotted the ground like a cloud. Veins bulged on the wings, bone spikes glinted along the edges. What zombie was this? It was a fallen angel descended to earth. Up. Zhang Zhongguo commanded the explosive body. Legs bent slightly, then the long limbs stamped the earth. Bang. The hard ground spider webbed for meters, rubble flying. Propelled by that force, the huge form rocketed skyward. High above, the sky-blotting wings beat. Boom. 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 Air compressed and detonated. Visible white shockwaves blasted rearward, whipping up dust storms. With thunderous sonic booms, Zhang Zhongguo became a green streak. Tearing the sky, he shot toward the front line dozens of kilometers away. Fast. Unimaginably fast. He outpaced even the world's armed helicopters, a green lightning bolt ripping across the firmament. Meanwhile, the frontline battlefield looked like a living hell. Tactical missiles filled the sky, raining down like a storm that cost nothing, still pouring frantically onto the Tier 4 zombie. The roar of explosions rolled on without end, flames shot sky high, and smoke billowed. Yet, despairingly, the 30-meter-tall Tier 4 Corpse King strode on like a moving fortress. It shrugged off the saturation bombing that could flatten a city, its steps were slow but never stopped. The pitch-black bone armor, though scorched, never cracked. Ignoring the churning sea of fire around it, it dragged its heavy feet, step by step, crushing everything in its path, unstoppably toward the abyssal Great Wall. Every Chinese soldier watching felt a deep helplessness. Right then, a savage pressure equal to the Tier 4 Corpse King suddenly crashed down from the heavens. Every head instinctively lifted. A sky-blotting green figure emerged, wrapped in rumbling wind and thunder. It descended mid-air and gazed upon the mortal world. From 10,000 meters up, that dark green silhouette shot down like a comet, carrying world-ending momentum, straight toward the Tier 4 Corpse King. The Chinese warriors on the ground stared upward, awe and envy filling their eyes. So this is the ultimate form of a bio-weapon. A young soldier tightened his grip on his rifle and muttered. If I could have a body like that, I'd fight this Tier 4 Corpse King myself. Boom. With a thunderous crash, Zhang Zhongguo slammed into the earth. Terrifying power erupted. His long legs, remade by extreme speed genes, stabbed into the ground like heaven-calming pillars. In a 100-meter radius the frozen soil shattered and collapsed, turning to flying dust and rubble. When the dust settled, the Tier 4 Corpse King's turbid, brutal eyes showed a flicker of human-like doubt. It glared at this newcomer, smaller yet radiating the same terror. We're both zombies, sure, you're greener and have wings, but that stench of death is unmistakable. Why side with those fragile humans to block me? And it could sense that, though this rival's base aura was only peak Tier 3. Several special energies inside him made even the king's heart quail. Zhang Zhongguo, though, was in no mood for small talk. Die. With a thought, his leg muscles snapped taut and explosive force maxed out. Whoosh. He vanished, speed so great the air couldn't part, leaving only an after-image. The Tier 4 Corpse King's pupils shrank. Before it could lift an arm, the green fist filled its vision. Such was the terrifying leap granted by multi-gene fusion. Not only the brute strength of a power-type zombie but the extreme speed of a velocity type. Thud. The blow combined the super zombie's monstrous force, a strength potion's boost, and energy crystals burning within. Its power actually matched Tier 4 level. A deafening blast, a white sonic wave rippled outward between them. The mountain-like Tier 4 Corpse King was punched several steps back, each footfall gouging out a deep pit. Again. Seizing the rebound, Zhang Zhongguo lashed out with fists like a tempest. Boom boom boom. 1,000 punches in 1 second. The sky of fists battered one of the king's arms, the air cracked with sonic booms. Yet the Tier 4 Corpse King's defense was monstrous. Though driven back and its black bone armor chipped, only superficial wounds appeared. Its hardened muscles soaked the tons of damage. Roar. Enraged at being stifled by a smaller kin, the Tier 4 Corpse King abandoned close combat. It flung open its fang-lined maw. Deep in its throat, heart-stopping black energy gathered once more. A thick black laser, able to vaporize steel in an instant, shot straight at the nearby Zhang Zhongguo. Too close, there was no dodging. But Zhang Zhongguo, facing the beam of death, only smiled. Dodge. Why would I? He puffed out his chest, and took it head-on. ZZZZT. The fearsome black laser swallowed his body. In that instant. Crack. A crisp shatter rang out, then a burst of golden light exploded over Zhang Zhongguo. Totem of Undying activated. In a heartbeat, vast life energy flooded him. His seared skin healed at once, and a golden resistance and regeneration buff layered on. But the laser was continuous. Crack. 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 Under the beam's onslaught, golden lights burst again and again as totems of undying shattered one after another. Then came a scene that made the Tier 4 Corpse King doubt zombie life. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Dozens of black silhouettes flickered behind Zhang Zhongguo, the standby Enderman logistics squad. Ignoring the laser's deadly wake, each hugged a stack of gleaming totems of undying. An Enderman teleported behind him, hands a blur, slapping a new totem squarely onto his back. The instant it touched, the totem took effect. Then a second, a third, a fourth, laser burned from the front while totems slapped on from behind. Let's see whether your energy runs out first or my totems do. The Chinese soldiers in the rear gaped, even the firing Tier 4 Corpse King was stupefied. Its eyes bulged, the laser flickering in shock. What kind of shameless tactic is this? Can't kill him, simply can't. Seconds later, the king's breath gave out and the laser faded. The smoke cleared. There stood Zhang Zhongguo, unharmed, wrapped in golden light, his back bristling with unused totems of undying like a golden porcupine. All taped up. Zhang Zhongguo rolled his neck and shouted the question. Reporting to the chief, every spot is covered. The Enderman behind him reported, then vanished in a chorus of whooshes. Good. Let's keep going. With a savage grin Zhang Zhongguo flapped the fleshy wings on his back, turning into a green streak of light that shot toward the bewildered Tier 4 Corpse King. Boom. Boom. Crash. The fight resumed, but it had become a one-sided slugfest. The Tier 4 Corpse King tore open Zhang Zhongguo's chest with a claw. Before it could celebrate, golden light flashed across Zhang Zhongguo and the wound healed instantly. He retaliated with a fist straight into the monster's eye socket. This was trading wound for wound. I have the totem of undying, I have healing potions, I have all of China backing me, what do you have to fight me with? Ha ha ha, brilliant. This is battle, this is a man's romance. Wielding his iron fists, Zhang Zhongguo drove the Tier 4 Corpse King steadily back, roaring with delight, inside the command center. Watching that domineering style on the monitor, Yi Tian couldn't help chuckling. Uncle Zhang's method really is bold. But his smile quickly faded and his brows drew together. Although Zhang Zhongguo held the absolute initiative, it was mostly thanks to the totem of undying. The super zombie's fists were heavy, yet against the freakish defense of a Tier 4 zombie they still felt lacking. At the battlefield center the thunderous crashes continued. Controlling the super zombie, Zhang Zhongguo slammed head-on into the Tier 4 Corpse King once more. With every clash Zhang Zhongguo grew more shaken. This beast isn't simple. He had thought zombie evolution meant only stacking strength and speed, but after this exchange he instantly realized the horror of Tier 4. The monster was not only tough as iron and able to spit destructive lasers, it had intelligence. It could predict moves, shield itself with energy when at a disadvantage, even target the weak joints of Zhang Zhongguo's body. Roar. The Tier 4 Corpse King bellowed, its pitch-black iron fist, wrapped in a reeking gale, smashed forward again. Bring it. Instead of retreating, Zhang Zhongguo stepped in and punched back. Boom. The two disproportionate fists collided mid-air, a terrifying shock wave erupted. The ground beneath them shattered, both locked in a brief stalemate. Behind Zhang Zhongguo the totem of undying burst apart. At this critical moment of the contest, Zhang Zhongguo's eyes flashed sharply. I was waiting for this. His left hand, primed the whole time, drew on the explosive power granted by the strength potion, fingers pressed together like a blade. In the instant the Corpse King's old force was spent and new force not yet born, faster than sound itself. He chopped down at the monster's already mangled right arm, now bearing the full strain of the grapple. Shhhk. A tearing sound rang out. Before the Tier 4 Corpse King could react, it felt its right shoulder go light, followed by searing agony. Its supposedly indestructible arm, thick enough to shrug off missiles, was severed clean by Zhang Zhongguo's pre-planned knife hand strike. Filthy blood gushed like a fountain. Roar! The Corpse King shrieked and staggered back. Staring at the twitching severed arm in his grip, the green, twisted face of Zhang Zhongguo lit up with wild joy. He grabbed the limb and, without a glance, hurled it behind him. Catch it, now! He roared over the comms, voice trembling with excitement. Get this arm back and have old Yun extract the gene at once, I'm fusing the Tier 4 rage gene. Zhang Zhongguo knew his current zombie body, strong as it was, remained only Tier 3 propped up by potions. If he could truly inject the Tier 4 rage gene and leap in life level, Then with all this gear and potions, beating this corpse king would be as easy as spanking a brat. Whoosh! An Enderman waiting at the battlefield's edge flashed in. It caught the arm, bigger than its own body, and vanished. A violet shimmer flickered. The Enderman reappeared the next instant inside the rear Biological Research Institute, prized trophy in hand. Biological Research Institute. Yun Junhua stared at the arm pulsing with terrifying energy, his beard quivering with excitement. Quick, organize a team to extract the rage gene inside. The entire lab burst into frantic activity, precision instruments whirred at full tilt. They strove to strip from that lump of flesh the mysterious key to evolution. Meanwhile, inside the command center, Yi Tian watched the monitors. A sudden flash of inspiration struck him so hard his breath froze for a second. Wait, Yi Tian murmured, his eyes growing hotter by the moment. Our biggest problem is the scarcity of high-tier zombies, which makes gene samples insufficient. Current tech can't duplicate genes, we have to yank them raw from the bodies. But, his gaze locked on the Tier 4 corpse king healing its wound on screen. Then he glanced at the pink glowing healing potion in his hand. A plan, utterly insane, took shape in his mind. What if I hack off one of its arms for gene extraction? Then use an MC healing potion on the zombie, letting the limb regrow to perfect condition. After that, hack again. Extract again. Heal again. Hack again. Yi Tian felt his whole being shake under the weight of the idea. If the logic held, that Tier 4 corpse king would no longer be a terrifying foe. It would be a living, endlessly renewable ATM dispensing Tier 4 genes. If that works, what the hell am I afraid of? Yi Tian sprang to his feet, eyes gleaming with a light that would make capitalists weep. If it's feasible, we'll have unlimited Tier 4 genes. We can mass produce an army of Tier 4 zombies. With such a force we could steamroll the world, or even invade other planes. Without hesitation, he instantly opened a channel to Zhang Zhongguo and spoke at lightning speed. Uncle Zhang, listen, don't kill it, whatever you do, don't kill it. Zhang Zhongguo, who'd been leading the charge, froze. What? Spare it. This beast's region is insane, if we don't finish it now we'll just wear ourselves out later. It's precisely because its region is insane. Yi Tian explained rapidly. Uncle Zhang, just stall it, don't let it escape. Once old Yun finishes extracting the Tier 4 gene, he'll inject it straight into you. After you fuse and advance to Tier 4, you'll be able to suppress it effortlessly. Then, Yi Tian's voice dropped, dripping with temptation. We'll restrain this corpse king, hack off a limb to harvest genes, feed it recovery potions so it grows back, and turn it into a gene factory. That way our entire army will evolve into an endless legion of Tier 4 super soldiers. On the other end of the line, Zhang Zhongguo was stunned. The punch he'd been about to throw froze midair. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It was simply ingenious. He'd personally experienced how broken MC potions were. That kind of instant full heal, as long as you weren't dead, used on an enemy, could actually produce this effect. Looking at the roaring Tier 4 corpse king, his gaze changed in an instant. It was no longer the stare you give an enemy. It was the stare you give a walking mountain of gold. HS's. Zhang Zhongguo sucked in a breath, excitement surging uncontrollably. If this works, when we catch a Tier 5 we can throw tens or even hundreds of millions of Tier 4 troops at it, pile it down, control it and do the same trick again. Then every soldier in China will start at Tier 5. Let's do it. With a laugh he shifted his lethal barrage into pure grapple and control. Little zombie, don't rush to die, your good days are still ahead. The Tier 4 corpse king, now missing its right arm, showed retreat for the first time in its once savage, frenzied eyes. Clutching the gushing stump, it stared at the golden shrouded, unkillable green monster and let out a whimper. It wasn't stupid, it sensed the man didn't want it dead, he looked at it like livestock, a greed that made it shudder. Roar. It bellowed, not to attack but as a feint, then spun its massive frame and pounded away from the battlefield. It was fleeing. But how could Zhang Zhongguo, already treating it as a walking gene bank, let it escape? Want to run? Ask me first. His wings snapped open, with near teleport speed he vanished. An instant later the green wall of his body slammed down, blocking the corpse king's path. Stay right there. He grinned and threw a straightforward punch. The Corpse King was forced to meet it, swinging its remaining left arm. Boom. The horrific clash detonated again. Zhang Zhongguo, after all, was only a pseudo tier 4 boosted by potions. In raw strength he was outclassed. Bones across his chest cracked under the strain. But the instant the fatal wound appeared. Crack. A crisp shatter rang out as blazing gold burst from his chest. Totem of Undying activated. The lethal injuries sealed in the golden light, even stamina returned to peak. He flipped mid-air, lively as ever, and pounced again. Come on, keep fighting, I've got more lives than you can burn. At that moment he turned into an unshakable sticky plaster. He offered no defense, trading life for injury in pure madness. You punch me, I kick back. You bite me, I tear a chunk off you. As long as the Totem of Undying held, he was an immortal war god. Meanwhile the Corpse King visibly wilted under the prolonged brawl. It fought Zhang Zhongguo while coping with the agony and blood loss of its severed arm. Whenever it tried to break out, Zhang used the totem to tank. When it gasped, near collapse, he kindly eased off, even backing away to let it catch its breath. After all, this priceless live specimen couldn't be accidentally killed, that would be a catastrophic loss. Meanwhile, at the rear, the Biological Research Institute. Yun Junhua focused intently on the precision gene analyzer, hunting for evolution secrets inside slices of the huge severed arm. As the complex double helix sharpened under the microscope, his excitement turned to solemn awe. Incredible, simply incredible. He muttered, staring at the intricate gene sequence on the screen. This Tier 4 rage gene isn't a quantitative leap from Tier 3, it's qualitative. Its gene locks are tougher, sequences more cryptic, energy circuits at least 10 times as intricate. No wonder it can spawn intelligence and even unleash energy attacks. After quick calculations he looked up at an Enderman liaison beside him. Go to the command center and tell little Tien. This Tier 4 gene is extremely special, extraction is far harder than expected. Even with our current tech it'll take days to fully isolate and parse. Tell him and old Zhang to prepare for a protracted war. Understood. The Enderman nodded, flickered, and vanished from the lab. While the two worlds roiled in the aftermath of this battle, the real world likewise convulsed as China dumped gold like crazy. Faced with the relentless slide in global gold prices and China's seemingly bottomless sell orders, Western financial titans finally couldn't sit still. Eagle Country, Wall Street. An emergency closed-door meeting on global financial order had just adjourned. Shortly after, the Eagle Country Treasury, together with the ECB, the island nation's central bank, and several top Wall Street sharks, issued an unusually tough joint statement. It announced the West's major economies would hurriedly assemble a massive temporary gold stabilization fund with only one mission: prop up the market. No matter how much China dumps, we will buy unconditionally. We will resolutely defend global financial stability. Gold will not be allowed to breach critical psychological support. Meanwhile, on foreign social media, a coordinated smear campaign against China was in full swing. Sanctions are a must. The Eagle Country Treasury spokesman lashed out on Twitter. China is engaging in malicious, irresponsible financial sabotage. This gravely destabilizes global markets. We have opened an emergency investigation. Once we confirm malicious intent, we will not hesitate to blacklist the Chinese state banks involved in the sell-off, cutting them off from dollar transactions and SWIFT access entirely. Major Western outlets piled on, fanning the China threat narrative. China, National Financial Security Center. When word came from across the ocean that Western central banks and Wall Street titans had jointly set up a temporary gold stability fund, vowing to prop up the market at any cost, the war room commanding trillions in capital flow showed zero tension or panic. Instead, what erupted was the uncontainable laughter of hunters watching prey walk into a trap. Ha ha ha, they're rattled, really rattled. The head of the financial team stared at the arrogant, threatening joint statement onscreen. Those greedy bloodsuckers actually think money can fill our bottomless pit and keep gold above water. He shot to his feet, arms slashing down like a general ordering an all-out assault. If they want to catch the falling knives, let them have it, all of it. Double the selling volume, no, triple it. Let's see whether their greenbacks print faster than the gold we haul back from the other world. Let's see just how deep their pockets really are. International financial markets. The gold candlestick, barely steadied by the stabilization fund and even showing faint signs of rebound, met catastrophe the very next second. Countless traders worldwide, brimming with confidence, hammered at their keyboards, eager to feast on the official bid. Yet before the smiles could fully bloom, boom! A sell order, vaster and more terrifying than any before, slammed into the market. In that instant every bid, every support, every psychological defense line crumbled like tissue paper beneath the seemingly endless golden tsunami. Shredded in seconds. My God, how is this possible? Top Wall Street traders clutched their heads, wailing in despair at the cliff-like red candlestick on their screens. How much gold do they have? This isn't selling, it's dumping, they're burying us alive in bullion. The so-called stabilization fund was swallowed without a splash by the golden wave from the east. At the subsequent global press conference the air crackled with tension. Flash bulbs popped as dozens of Western reporters shoved microphones at China's foreign ministry spokesman. An Eagle Country journalist rose, aggressive, eyes full of arrogance and scrutiny. Why is China dumping gold reserves at this time? Does this mean your economy is on the brink of collapse and desperate for cash? Faced with grave international concern and imminent sanctions, will China halt this irresponsible sell-off and explain its real intentions to the world? The instant his voice fell, the room fell dead silent, every gaze fixed on the podium, awaiting China's response. It was more than a question, it was the West's joint ultimatum. Confronted with the provocative, contempt-laden query, the Chinese spokesman on stage showed no anger. He adjusted the microphone, calm as still water, eyes profound. Speaking slowly, his steady voice carried live to every corner of the planet. First, I must correct several basic factual errors by this journalist. He raised a finger, tone unruffled. 1. China's economy is healthy and resilient, all indicators sit within reasonable ranges, and we've achieved breakthroughs in multiple high-tech sectors. Every recent financial move stems from our insight into national development and global trends, not from the imaginary fire sale you describe. 2. As for adjusting our gold holdings, that is the sacred and inviolable right of any sovereign state to manage its assets. Just as your country keeps issuing treasuries to maintain liquidity, we neither need nor owe any nation an explanation of intent. At this point the spokesman paused briefly. His gaze swept the room, finally fixing on the Eagle Country reporter, eyes turning razor sharp. 3. The most important point. We note certain countries are addicted to brandishing the sanctions club, naively believing that cutting off dollar access can force others to bow and keep their crumbling hegemony alive. Therefore, on behalf of the Chinese government, I hereby issue 2 technical notices to the world. The hall was silent, everyone held their breath, sensing something historic. China's homegrown RMB cross-border payment system completed full end-to-end stress tests for physical gold settlement yesterday. The system is stable and secure, effective immediately. We welcome all market participants who recognize fairness to use it for cross-border settlement of gold and bulk commodities. This statement, more terrifying than the gold dump, was no mere tech upgrade, it was a blatant raid on the dollar hegemony's ancestral grave. If settlements no longer run through dollars, Eagle Country's swift sanctions become scrap paper. Yet the spokesman wasn't finished. In view of the keen interest and robust absorption shown by the international market for our gold transactions, and to meet demand and stabilize global prices, China will moderately increase the market supply of gold resources beyond the current plan. A stab through the heart. Wasn't this open mockery? You love buying. You've got the cash. Fine. We'll sell you more, enough to bankrupt you. Finally the spokesman straightened his papers, smiled at the camera, and delivered the closing line destined for the history books. China's financial policies always serve the well-being of our people and the long-term development of all humanity. We have no intention of disrupting any market, we are simply offering a more stable and equitable alternative to an outdated financial system riddled with unilateral sanctions and unequal dependencies. As for whether this choice is an opportunity or a challenge, that depends on whether the nations present here still possess basic rationality and the courage to embrace the future. These words instantly detonated across the globe. If dumping gold had only made Western financiers wince, the formal announcement of CIP's gold settlement was a mortal blow straight to Eagle Country's hegemonic heart. It meant China was building a complete, Dollar-independent financial infrastructure for the post-dollar era, backed by unlimited gold. The world erupted. Bear Nation, Moscow. Inside the Kremlin, every senior official watching the livestream felt their eyes light up in that instant. They had been tormented by Eagle country's swift sanctions, and this move from China was like coal delivered in a snowstorm. No, it handed them a sort of counterattack. Contact the Chinese side immediately. The president of Bear Country slammed the table and rose. Tell them Bear Nation is willing to be among the first strategic partners of the CIPS gold settlement system. Our oil and natural gas will all accept this framework. The same scene played out in parts of ASEAN, Middle Eastern oil producers, even some inflation-ravaged Latin Eagle nations. Eagle countries' once terrifying threat of cutting nations off from SWIFT channels became a global laughingstock before this gold-backed payment system. Time flew amid flames and thunder. 2 whole days. At the heart of the zombie world battlefield, the operation had turned into an efficient assembly line. The once invincible Tier 4 Corpse King now had all its arrogance ground away. Every time it tried to break out, the golden shimmering, unkillable green monster would stick like medicated plaster. It couldn't kill the thing, couldn't outrun it. The moment it paused to breathe, its foe would considerately stop and even toss a few healing potions to keep it alive, afraid it might tire itself to death. It had endured this routine for 2 days. Inside the command center, Yi Tian sat in the main seat, gazing at the screen where Zhang Zhongguo had the Tier 4 zombie pinned. A satisfied smile curved his lips. Right then, the long-absent, heaven-sent system notification rang crisply in his mind. Ding! All hostile targets within the host sphere of influence have been eliminated. Congratulations, host. Mission completed. Rewards being distributed. With the prompt, 3 radiant icons quietly settled into Yi Tian's system backpack. 1. Tier 2 Super Gene Awakening Serum X1. 2. Electromagnetic Armor and Rail Cannon Application Tech. 3. Controllable Nuclear Fusion Technology. Seeing the rewards, Yi Tian, though mentally prepared, still felt his breathing quicken. Before he could calm down, a new quest panel popped open. New quest issued. Quest name, Overlord of the Wasteland. Objective, rule the Heaven Punishment Survivor Base, one of the 3 great survivor strongholds. Rewards. 1. Tier 3 Super Gene Awakening Serum X1. 2. Mass Production Formula for Gen 2 Body Enhancement Liquid. 3. Quantum Com and Hypercomputing Matrix Tech Distance Immune, Unbreakable Instant Comms, Quantum Brain whose compute power exceeds the planet's total, cornerstone to command billions of mechanical troops. HS's. Seeing the rewards, even Yi Tian couldn't help a sharp intake of breath. Gen 2 Enhancement Liquid, Quantum Matrix. The system's rewards were growing ever more outrageous, ever more hardcore. It was forcing him to detonate the entire tech tree in one go. Yet when he saw the reason the mission had completed, he shook his head wryly. Didn't expect it. Yi Tian looked at the map, where vast regions were now marked safe in green, and sighed. That mysterious sound wave helped us more than we could have imagined. Normally, carefully clearing a city and its surroundings would take at least half a month. But when that sound wave rang out, it worked like an area-wide taunt, dragging every zombie within hundreds of kilometers. Tier 1, Tier 2, all of them, like rabid dogs rushing to a single spot and queuing up to jump into the pit. The once packed zombie zones had become vacuum territories overnight. Enderman scouts sent hundreds of kilometers out returned reporting barely a decent zombie in sight. Plant a flag and the land was yours. Guess you could call that exploiting a bug. Yi Tian chuckled. Since the quest was done and rewards collected, the only objective left was the stubborn Tier 4 gene bank still fighting, Biological Research Institute, Core Lab. The area had been refitted into a sterile, sci-fi white space. Academician Yun Junhua and his top biology team had worked non-stop for 2 full days. Yet their minds blazed with exhilaration. Before the giant gene centrifuge, every researcher held their breath, eyes glued to the discharge port. Clink. A crisp chime sounded. The hatch slid open, and a mechanical arm delivered a vial wreathed in cryogenic mist, deep, sapphire blue, spiraling like liquid crystal. The serum seemed to hold violent life force. Even through the tempered glass, the onlookers felt a heart-shaking pressure. It's done. Trembling, Yun Junhua cradled the vial as if it were the world's most priceless treasure. Tier 4 Rage Gene, successfully extracted, perfect quality. Cheers burst from the surrounding researchers, no longer stifled. Fantastic. This is the key to Tier 4. Yun Junhua sucked in a breath, forced himself calm, and said to the Enderman assistant at his side. Quick, contact Command Center, tell Shoutian and Old Zhang. The Tier 4 gene serum is ready. The last piece of the god-making plan is in place. Command Center. Uncle Zhang, the serum's ready, pull back immediately. Frontline containment will be handed to the Enderman. Yi Tian's voice rang urgently in Zhang Zhongguo's mind. In the thick of the fight, Zhang Zhongguo's eyes flashed. He glanced down at the battered, panting Tier 4 zombie king and grinned with satisfaction. Hey, little zombie, I'm off to level up. Wait right here, I'll be back to play. With that, Zhang Zhongguo broke off the fight. The huge green fleshy wings on his back slammed down, a gale rose, and his colossal frame shot skyward, streaking toward the Biological Research Institute as a green blur. Roar. Seeing this killing god finally leave, the Corpse King let out a roar of relief and humiliation. Dragging its exhausted body, it spun around and bolted for the depths of the wilderness. But if it wanted to leave, China had other plans. Throwers, focus fire, stack every negative potion you've got. Space rippled as over 1,000 Endermen appeared around the Corpse King. They carried no firearms, instead they hurled countless MC splash potions in a frenzy. Potions of weakness, slowness, poison. Pop, pop, pop. Vials shattered against the king's pitch-black armor. Gray weakness particles and crimson poison mist instantly engulfed it. Even a mighty Tier 4 winced in pain under the flood of debuffs. Its steps turned heavy. Block it. Dozens of iron golems dropped from the sky, barricading its path. Though the king angrily batted them aside, fresh Endermen blinked in the next second. More potions flew in a crazed barrage. This was Yi Tian's tactic. Don't kill, just pin you down with sheer nausea. Biological Research Institute, open ground. He's here. Yun Junhua pointed at the green streak shooting across the sky and shouted. Quick, activate the pressure dump field, everyone fall back. Boom. Zhang Zhongguo's 15-meter frame slammed down, raising a cloud of dust. Old Yun, hurry, that beast's about to lose it. Craving power, Zhang Zhongguo urged him on. Without a word, Yun Junhua directed several huge mechanical arms. They drove the faint blue Tier 4 Rage Gene dose deep into the super zombie's neck muscles. As the serum entered, Zhang Zhongguo felt berserk energy erupt inside him. His bones stretched madly. His already 15-meter body ballooned anew. Muscle fibers toughened into steel cables under the drug's boost. 20 meters, 25, stopping at an astonishing 30. Though doubled in size, the frame looked anything but bulky. It now had a cheetah's sleek, explosive lines. Strangest of all, a dense energy core was forming in his chest. A qualitative leap beyond mere flesh. So this is what Tier 4 feels like. Zhang Zhongguo sensed power that could tear the heavens. He slowly raised his right hand, fingers pointing at a distant 100-meter barren hill. BZZ. A black-blue energy beam lanced out. The moment it swept past the hill, a 10-meter wide hole was cored straight through the mountain, rock vaporized. Ha ha ha, excellent. Zhang Zhongguo's laughter shattered surrounding glass with sonic force. Command Center. On the satellite feed, Zhang Zhongguo's energy reading spiked meteorically. Beating his wings, he shot toward the front at a terrifying speed. Director, target has passed Mach 2 and is closing fast. The operator's voice trembled. Yi Tian stared at the purple streak tearing across the screen, eyes blazing, and ordered, Uncle Zhang's back. Everyone, pull out and give our war god the stage. Yes, sir. The hard-pressed Enderman and iron golems vanished on the spot, leaving only broken potion vials and a bewildered, debuff-laden Tier 4 Corpse King. Though none too bright, the king sensed something wrong. The sky suddenly darkened. A crushing, otherworldly pressure descended, one even this native overlord found terrifying. Boom. A colossal figure landed lightly 100 meters ahead. He didn't face the king, turning his back instead. 30 meters of ramrod straight stature. Those sky-blotting green wings folded slowly. Bone spikes at the tips glinted bloodthirstily in the sun. At that instant the wind died, lesser zombies nearby dropped flat. Absolute hierarchy in action. Zhang Zhongguo tilted his head. Crimson eyes now held no frenzy. Only the cold disdain of a god looking down on ants. Little thing, you've run long enough, time to come home. The Tier 4 Corpse King froze, shaking violently. Facing a same tier back that radiated god-demon might, it sank into despair. In that instant of hesitation. Whoosh! A faint pop rang through the air. Zhang Zhongguo's mountain-sized frame vanished on the spot, not teleport, but speed so pure it might as well be. The next second his huge, grinning green visage pressed right against the king's face. Soul shocked, the Tier 4 king reacted on instinct. Its lone remaining arm channeled every shred of strength into a straight punch at Zhang Zhongguo's chest. A final, desperate strike, stronger than any blow before. Thud. The fist slammed square into the green-scaled chest. Yet, no golden flash. No totem shattered. Zhang Zhongguo didn't even sway. Like an immemorial mountain he took the mountain-shattering punch bare-bodied. Roar. For the first time the king's eyes showed almost human blank bewilderment. It clearly remembered. Every previous hit had triggered that hated golden glow and instant heal. Why no flash now? Why did its fist feel like it had struck indestructible alloy? Done. Zhang Zhongguo looked down at the trembling fist on his chest, lips splitting in a grin. Not eaten today, little thing. Roar. Terror ripped a shriek from the king as it yanked its arm back and rocketed away. The instant it opened distance it widened its maw, compressing apocalyptic black energy in its throat. It was going all out. A beam of annihilation, thicker and darker than before, surged toward Zhang Zhongguo with the force to obliterate everything. Playing energy waves. Zhang Zhongguo stood his ground, too lazy to even dodge. He simply raised his right hand, palm forward, the energy core pulsing in his chest surged along his arm and erupted outward. Then let me show you what a real Tier 4 looks like. A terrifying pillar of jade green and dark blue light blasted from his palm. The two beams collided midair. No stalemate, no power struggle, only crushing, unstoppable devastation. Zhang Zhongguo's beam devoured the Corpse King's black light like a raging dragon, then surged back the way it had come. The blast punched straight through the king's remaining left arm. Arm and half the shoulder vaporized into nothingness. Roarg. The Corpse King shrieked. Now armless, it had lost all power to resist. It spun to flee, desperate to escape this despair-inducing monster. But the next second, a jade-green hand tore from thin air and clamped around its throat. Zhang Zhongguo hoisted the Tier 4 Corpse King one-handed. As easily as lifting a chick. The sheer gap in tier and power left the king without even the strength to struggle. Zhang Zhongguo regarded it coldly, then clenched his free left fist. Power gathered. Punch. With no resistance, that fist, brimming with monstrous force, punched clean through the king's abdomen and out its back. Though it looked ghastly, Zhang Zhongguo had carefully avoided its crystal core and vitals. The blow was only meant to scatter the corpse energy inside and leave it immobile. The king convulsed once, then hung limp from his hand. Phew. Zhang Zhongguo withdrew his fist and studied the living yet dead captive, as if already seeing Washa's future. With you, our Tier 4 army is coming. This was more than a prisoner. It was a living, renewable, inexhaustible Tier 4 gene factory. Mission complete. Returning. Without pause he spread the massive jade wings that blotted out the sky. Boom. A shockwave burst as he shot skyward, streaking toward the Biological Research Institute with the Tier 4 Corpse King in tow. All he left behind were vast craters and countless stunned Washa warriors still trying to process the one-sided godlike battle. High above, the wind howled. Fresh from victory and carrying the Tier 4 King, Zhang Zhongguo's huge frame suddenly jolted to a stop. His sky-blotting jade wings hovered motionless. His scarlet eyes ignored the captive, locking instead on a green mountain several kilometers below. A sense of being watched swept over him. It was faint, ordinary Tier 3 awakened would never have noticed, but Tier 4 Zhang Zhongguo, enhanced by multiple serums, caught the anomaly instantly. A rat. He snorted and raised his free left palm toward the mountain. Bzz. Dense jade energy compressed above his hand, warping the very air. Get out here. Boom. A colossal beam lanced across kilometers and smashed into the mountainside in an apocalyptic blast. A thunderous explosion rolled out. Half the towering mountain collapsed, buried under falling rock and smoke. Yet Zhang Zhongguo stayed alert, eyes sweeping the ruins. He'd sensed something, but after the strike the presence vanished as if it had never been. What's going on? Inside the command center, Yi Tian, monitoring the fight, saw the sudden detonation. Uncle Zhang must have spotted something. Yi Tian stared at the screen, gaze sharp. At his level it can't be a false alarm, someone's out there. He issued the order without hesitation. All nearby Enderman units, assemble. Comb that mountain, dig 3 feet down if you have to, and find whoever's spying. Yes, sir. On the battlefield's edge, tens of thousands of Endermen who had been clearing debris burst into violet streaks, teleporting en masse toward the half-ruined peak. High above, Zhang Zhongguo hovered a moment longer, glanced at the barely breathing Tier 4 king, weighed his options. Forget it, the priority is getting this treasure back. The Enderman can handle the rest. With that, his wings thundered and he shot away toward the Biological Research Institute. Deep inside the half-collapsed mountain, in a dense grove, a shadow blade warrior passed an ancient tree with an eerie gait. Violet eyes swept the surroundings warily. But he never noticed that less than 2 meters away, a nearly transparent human outline clung to the trunk, invisible to every sense. Qingfeng, top scout of Heavenfall Base and a rare Tier 4 awakened with void assimilation. That ability, perfect transparency, erasing scent and body heat, had let him survive both the apocalyptic blast and Zhang Zhongguo's perception. Now, holding his breath, he watched the black monster walk past, then glanced at the distant green figure disappearing into the sky, heart pounding. What the hell are these things? Shock and confusion filled his eyes. They don't act like zombies. What zombie has discipline and can teleport to sweep a mountain? And that one in the sky, corpse aura but human level intellect and combat skill. A veteran ranger of the wasteland, Qingfeng knew instinctively that the world was about to change. This newly emerged monster legion was no mere mutation. They were organized, disciplined, with clear tactical goals. Some terrifying power, must be commanding them. I have to report this, now. Qingfeng realized how serious the situation had become. Carefully avoiding the dense patrols of Enderman, he glided westward like a breeze, silent and unseen. Several hours later, in the west, amid towering mountains, a colossal fortress rose against the cliffs, majestic and crackling with lightning, Heaven Punish Base. Inside the core council hall the air was solemn. Around a huge round table sat more than a dozen mighty Tier 4 awakened ones. At the head of the table, 2 beings radiated suffocating pressure. One, wreathed in fine purple arcs, eyes like thunderclaps, was the base's leader, Tier 5 powerhouse, Thunder Emperor. The other, cloaked entirely in black, exuded a cold, abyssal aura, equally a genuine Tier 5. Travel-stained, Qingfeng knelt on one knee in the center of the circle. Have you located the satellite launch site? Thunder Emperor's magnetic voice echoed through the hall. That had been Qingfeng's original mission, to trace the mysterious satellite that had suddenly lifted off. Qingfeng nodded, expression grave. Reporting to Thunder Emperor. Found it. The coordinates point to the old abandoned industrial city. However, Qingfeng hesitated, his tone turning bitter. I was discovered before I could get close. Oh. Thunder Emperor's brows knitted, the lightning around him flared violently. Discovered. By whom? Don't tell me it was that old geezer from Dawnlight. In his view, only another Tier 5 expert could possibly detect Qingfeng, famed for stealth. Qingfeng shook his head. No. A Tier 4 monster. A Tier 4 monster. The words stunned everyone at the table. Yes, and more than one. Qingfeng drew a deep breath and began his report. That entire area is now swarming with black creatures we've never seen before. They're highly disciplined, extremely intelligent, and nearly everyone can teleport through space. I even suspect they operate under an exceptionally strict command structure. Moreover, the Tier 4 that spotted me was in the middle of hunting a Tier 4 corpse king. At those words the hall erupted in uproar. Hunting a Tier 4 corpse king. Even these Tier 4 awakened ones would detour around a corpse king of the same tier unless their talents specialized in offense, who dared claim a sure kill. Qingfeng went on. There's more. I discovered the reason hordes of zombies converged on that zone was crystal sound. Every last zombie was drawn by it. Crystal sound. Hearing the term, the previously indifferent Thunder Emperor shot to his feet, eyes blazing with greed and excitement. As a Tier 5 powerhouse, he knew exactly what crystal sound signified. It was a gift of this world, a super resource that could vault the entire base's strength to a new level. Has the crystal sound energy discharge finished? Thunder Emperor demanded urgently. It should have. Qingfeng nodded. I saw no further zombies heading there, and that unique fluctuation has vanished, most likely the release phase is over. Confirmed, Thunder Emperor's eyes flickered with calculation. With crystal sound spent, the ground must be littered with high-tier zombie corpses and energy crystals, perhaps even source crystals. A fortune enough to drive any faction wild. In the past he would have led a charge there at once. But now, thinking of Qingfeng's description of that mysterious, disciplined monster legion and the being capable of slaying a Tier 4 corpse king, his burning heart cooled a little. Where had this sudden force come from? If they were wild mutants, such discipline was impossible. If someone controlled them, how terrifying must that controller be? This matter is far from simple. Thunder Emperor sat back down, fingers drumming on the table. Since those monsters can kill Tier 4s, their strength can't be underestimated. We won't act rashly and let others reap the spoils. After a moment's thought he lifted his gaze, swept it across the assembly, and issued orders. Transmit my command. Entire base to Level 1 combat readiness. In addition, send envoys to the Sword Master of Kanchong Fortress. Tell him a huge slab of fat has appeared in the wasteland, but some uninvited guests have come along. I believe he'll be equally interested in this mysterious force that can launch satellites and control monsters. Proceed with caution, probe first, then plan. In the command center, with the Tier 4 corpse King Zhongguo had brought back, the mysterious sonic feast was winding down to cleanup. Though vast numbers of ordinary zombies and energy crystals had been harvested, Yi Tian's gaze never left a red circled coordinate on the screen. The source of that mysterious sound wave. 3 days have passed, the wave has completely subsided. Yi Tian tapped the desk calmly. After such a generous gift, it's time we uncovered its true face. He turned to the communications officer beside him and issued an order. Order Shadow Blade 1st Recon Team to proceed immediately to the epicenter. I want first-hand high-def real-time footage. Stay on highest alert. At the first sign of anything unusual, teleport out at once. Yes, sir. Zombie World, a mysterious valley outside the city. Once lush, the valley had been reduced by 3 days of high-frequency sonic bombardment. Within several kilometers every plant, stone, and clod of earth had turned to powder. Several purple spatial ripples unfurled in the air, and 5 slender Enderman warriors appeared. They surveyed the desolate land, then locked their gaze on a hidden cave deep in the valley. Though its energy had ebbed, the residual might still made them shudder instinctively. Coordinates locked, preparing to enter. The lead Enderman reported via Mind Link, then with his squad turned into wisps of purple smoke and vanished into the cave's depths. Deep inside the cave it was dim. When the Enderman squad teleported into the core cavern, the sight made Yi Tian and the experts in the command center hold their breath. On a bare rock platform hovered a fist-sized crystal, lustrous and white as mutton fat jade. It had no visible support, yet it pulsed slowly up and down, its rhythm perfectly matching the sonic waves detected earlier. What is that? Zhongguo's voice crackled through the comms, thick with curiosity. Looks like a trinket, how can it pack such terrifying lethality? Yi Tian didn't answer at once, he stared at the white object, a strange feeling stirring in his chest. Don't get close yet. Yi Tian's low warning echoed across the channel. Since it can lure zombies, let's test it, go bring a live one. Understood. Less than 10 seconds later, inside the outpost base's massive obsidian cage. An Enderman casually hoisted a roaring first-order zombie. Several violet flashes later, it had crossed dozens of kilometers and deposited the creature inside the cave. Release it and fall back. The Enderman let go and instantly teleported to the shadowy cave mouth to observe. The moment the first-order zombie regained freedom, its frenzied movements froze. Its cloudy eyes, upon seeing the white crystal sound in the air, showed an almost worshipful rapture. Roar. With a guttural cry, the zombie ignored the terrifying Enderman nearby. It flung its arms wide and stumbled straight toward the crystal sound at the center of the rock platform. Then something bizarre happened. As the zombie closed to within 3 meters, the gently swaying white crystal abruptly stilled. Thud. Without warning, the lively zombie seemed to have its soul ripped out. Its body locked mid-stride and slammed to the ground. Wisps of faint red energy mist then bled from every pore. Drawn by some powerful force, they streamed skyward into the crystal sound. Within seconds the zombie was reduced to dried bones, then even those crumbled to ash. Having fed, the crystal sound's jade-white surface glowed with a holy sheen, and it rocked more cheerfully than ever. It's eating. Zhang Zhongguo gaped, sucking in a sharp breath. It baits the zombies just to devour them. Inside the command center, every scientist's eyes blazed. A genius hunting mechanism. One expert's face flushed with excitement. That sonic wave must be its defense. During feeding and molting it emits a Tier 4 level sonic wave, blocking, or outright erasing, anything outside the zombie spectrum. A tiny crystal that can instantly kill a Tier 1 zombie and release Tier 4 energy. Yi Tian studied the harmless-looking white crystal on the monitor, gaze calm and calculating. Its secrets run deeper than we thought. We can't leave it unchecked. While it's docile, contain it. Yi Tian swept an arm in decisive command. Relay to engineering. Haul enough materials to build a research station outside the sonic wave's safe margin. Ring the entire cave. Load every monitor and energy scanner. I want to know the instant it's ready for its next meal. Since it loves zombies, let's see what earth-shattering form it takes once it's full. Yes, sir. At Yi Tian's order, the nation's construction mania gene ignited across the base. Countless Endermen blurred into motion outside the cave. Crate after crate of precision instruments teleported in. A research outpost built around an otherworld resource sprouted in the valley. Inside the Crystal Sound Research Station, on Yi Tian's cue, the waiting Shadow Blade transport teams moved out. One after another, restrained common zombies were seized by Endermen and teleported into the feeding zone deep inside the cave. All units, energy monitors at full power. Commence release. Under the precise control of scientists hosted in villagers' bodies. Several energy analyzers whirred, data streams dancing across the screens. As the zombies landed near the crystal sound on the rock platform, the familiar feast replayed. The white crystal quivered, red mist drained from the zombies, leaving dried husks behind. Report, data incoming. A senior expert pointed at the familiar waveform, voice trembling with disbelief. The absorption frequency and signature are identical to the energy extractor we seized from Fenhua Base. Identical. Yi Tian's eyes lit with understanding. As expected. He analyzed aloud, that so-called energy extractor was never original tech. Early post-apocalypse scientists must have discovered the crystal sound, reverse-engineered it, and cobbled together that crude copycat. One was a natural, Tier 4 apex predator, the other, a man-made, inefficient juicer. The efficiency gap between them was immeasurable. While the experts still marveled, the lead monitor for core energy readings suddenly shouted. Sir, the crystal sound's core energy is converging, it looks ready to excrete energy crystals. Yi Tian perked up. That's exactly what we want. Keep feeding it. But right then, an anomaly struck. Sensing ill intent from the surrounding two-leggers, or perhaps frustrated that no more zombies were approaching after its earlier energy release, the hovering white crystal sound suddenly lurched. As if sentient, it streaked toward the cave exit in a flash of white light. Trying to run. Yi Tian's gaze turned icy, he reacted instantly. Block it, don't let the thing escape. Roger. An Enderman warrior beside them instantly triggered teleport. A violet flicker, and he materialized squarely in the crystal sound's path. Instead of grabbing it, he pulled an indestructible black block from his inventory. Tap tap tap. The Enderman's hands blurred. In the blink of an eye, 26 obsidian blocks snapped into place. They formed a hollow 3x3x3 cube in midair, trapping the onrushing crystal sound. Dead center in a single block of empty space. Thanks for watching.